Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, I am Narita Dash. On behalf of the organizing team, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to today's webinar that is Climate in the Boardroom, Translating Environmental Science into Corporate Social Responsibility. We are delighted to have such a diverse, engaged group of participants joining us today. Your presence today reflects the growing recognition in environment sustainability. We are honored to have our distinguished panelists with us today who bring valuable perspectives from environment, business, and policy. Before we begin, this webinar is being recorded and will be shared with all the registered participants. Please keep your microphone on mute unless speaking. If you have any questions during this session, please feel free to drop them in the chat box. We will take them up during the question answer segment towards the end of the panel session. Without further ado, let me invite Mr. Paresh Kumar, CEO and co-founder of DevInsights, for the welcome address. Mr. Kumar brings over 24 years of experience in the social development sector. He is an expert in crafting and implementing customized research, monitoring, learning, and evaluation frameworks that support data-driven decision-making. I would like to welcome Mr. Paresh Kumar. Over to you, sir.
Thanks, Ranita, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the entire team at DevInsights, it is an absolute honor and pleasure to welcome you all to this webinar. And the fact that we are having this conversation on the World Environment Day makes this conversation even more meaningful and timely. We are all aware that climate change is no more a distant reality. It's near, it's real, it's personal, whether it's in the form of unexpected heat waves or sudden floods in the urban neighborhoods or decline in the crop yields or other climate sensitive, climate specific diseases. We're all experiencing the impact of the warming of our planet in the most tangible ways. A couple of weeks back, I was speaking with one of the retired professors from IIT Roorkee. He told me a very simple and yet a very powerful thing. He was telling me that when we get fever, when our temperatures rise, we start diagnosing the problem and get into the treatment of it. In the similar fashion, the Mother Earth is also getting fever, and the temperature is rising at a very rapid and an accelerated pace. Are we doing enough about it? That left me really thinking very hard. I'm not too skeptical. I'm hopeful, and I'm hopeful because there are solutions available, actionable solutions available. Very simple things like we've been hearing this for decades about the triple R: reduce, reuse, recycle, or using alternate renewable sources of energy, or creating environmentally sustained infrastructure both at the personal and the public spaces. And most importantly, which is also aligned to the topic of this webinar, to have the climate intelligence in our boardroom discussions and decisions. And everyone present here today in this webinar, have been contributing in some way or the other positively, for the social and environmental cause. But to have the real impact, it demands a sustained dialogue, a shared learning. And that's the purpose of having this webinar, and that's the objective that we want to achieve through this webinar today. And we are extremely privileged to have an outstanding panel here today, which brings in perspectives, different perspectives from academia to policy to implementation to CSR strategy. And I'm confident that today's session is going to be both enriching and inspiring. And without further ado, let me invite our moderator, Dr. Devjit Palit, to moderate and set the stage for this very important conversation. Let me first introduce Dr. Devjit Palit. A lot of you may already be knowing him. Dr. Palit is a renowned energy policy expert and sustainability educator with over 27 years of experience in renewable energy, rural electrification, and decentralized energy systems. He currently serves as the center head and the center for at the Center for Climate Change and Energy Transition at the Chintan Research Foundation, New Delhi. Previously, he has held the position of Director and Senior Fellow at TERI and was a professor at the NTPC School of Business. Dr. Palit has led energy access initiatives across 17 countries, focusing on the integration of clean energy solutions into development strategies. His work emphasizes the intersection of energy, gender, and poverty, and he has been recognized among the top 2% of scientists globally by the Stanford University. Very warm welcome to Dr. Palit, and thank you all again very much for joining us for this webinar. Over to you, Dr. Devjit.
Thank you, Paresh. So it's a pleasure to be moderating this session. I'm audible, right?
Yes, you are, loud and clear.
So pleasure to be moderating this session and and I must thank you for giving me this opportunity to participate in this important event of World Environment Day, which started in 1973, and I think this year's theme is Beat Plastic Pollution. Now, when we talk about beat plastic pollution, probably 40 years back, plastic was touted to be the most important invention and to be used for, it makes our life so easier, and it was treated something as something that that can make our life so easier. But now we are making a theme of beat the plastic pollution. So in 40 years, a thing which was supposed to make our life easier has now become a menace. So what is important here, the reason why I'm saying it is that many of the things that we today probably are thinking that would make our life easier might become tomorrow's menace. So we have to be careful. And I belong to the solar sector, so I have seen solar PV panels. We are all implementing large solar PV, that means projects with solar PV panels across the world, including in India. We are celebrating the growth of solar PV industry in India. But unless we can find out a solution, the end of life solution to the solar PV panels 40 years downward, that means maybe in 2060 or 2070, we might end up having a World Environment Day where we'll say beat solar PV pollution. So the point I'm trying to say here is that we have to find and use things in a responsible fashion so that it doesn't create any problem in the future. Otherwise, we'll end up having again, the world actually 120 years back, I collected a newspaper article from Australia and New Zealand, and where it was mentioned that millions of tons of coal will be burnt and this will produce carbon dioxide. So 100 years back also we knew that coal is going to create a problem for us, but still we went ahead and irresponsibly started using coal. So that gives us a lesson that whatever we use, we should use it responsibly, or else we can see the type of changes that are happening in the climate, whether it is the heat waves, the glacier melting, which might create a lot of problems. We are seeing unseasonal droughts and rainfall, and I just trying to link. You mentioned about Paresh mentioned about the IIT faculties saying about the Earth's temperature has risen. Now, when our temperature rises, we take a shower to reduce our temperature. probably the unseasonal rains are happening because the rains wanted to lower the temperature of the earth. Just on a lighter side, I'm saying, of course, there is no science behind it. But then something is happening similar. So what my take here would be that, of course, mitigation and adaptation are extremely important. Sustainable lifestyle, and I think we have a presentation on that. Sustainable lifestyle is something that we all have to adopt. We just can't allow the way the demand is increasing, whether it is energy demand or otherwise, to go on without any limit. The developed world has done that, and for that the developing world is facing the problem. They are the vulnerable population, and unfortunately the vulnerable population also has the lower resilience in terms of whether it is in terms of addressing a mitigation problem or having finance to address the problem. So we have to be careful that whatever we are blaming the West within the country, also we have to be careful that somebody in Delhi should not put the gun on the shoulder of somebody in Arunachal or other places and start using resources in an uncontrolled fashion. So it's the same condition between the West and India, and within India, the developed states and the not so developed states. So having said that, I think everybody must be waiting to hear our esteemed panelists, 4 very experienced panelists, both from practice and academia, and they will be sharing their insights on different topics. To start with, I will just introduce all the 4 panelists, and then we can have the presentation by each one of them. Mr. Deepak Krishnan, he is our first panelist, who is the Deputy Director at the Energy Program of WRI India. In WRI, Mr. Krishnan leads key initiatives in industrial decarbonization, electric vehicles, and energy transition. And I had the pleasure of working with him. And I mentioned about the responsible energy. So we were part of the same team working on a project on responsible renewable energy initiative. So he's going to share his thoughts on linkage between clean energy interventions and CSR. Our next panelist would be Dr. Yogesh Dubey. He's a leading academic in environmental management and biodiversity conservation, and currently serving as a professor at the Indian Institute of Forest Management in Bhopal. And he will be speaking on the sustainable lifestyles. That's how Mission Life is powering climate action through our everyday choices, emphasizing the role of individual behaviors and policy in achieving environmental goals. Our third panelist is Ms. Swarna Behera. She is a senior manager in the CSR division at HDFC Bank. Swarna is a seasoned monitoring and evaluation specialist with more than a decade of experience in leveraging data to drive strategic decision across sectors like health, education, gender, and natural resource management. And she would be addressing the topic on measurement of environmental indicators, which is extremely important, because unless we can measure something, we cannot make changes, or we cannot make change for the good. And she's going to talk about that on the gaps and opportunities for CSR, highlighting how evidence can shape and scale corporate sustainability efforts. Last but not the least, we have Surabhi Rajagopal. She's a senior program manager with SELCO Foundation, where she has played a key role in ecosystem building for sustainable energy access, especially through decentralized solar energy systems. Her work spans stakeholder engagement, knowledge coalition, and the integration of renewable energy in healthcare, livelihood, and humanitarian settings. And she will present on lessons from climate resilient, solar powered health facilities and the role of CSR, drawing from ground level innovations that bridge energy and health outcomes. So I think we have some tremendous we are going to have some tremendous presentation. My only request to all the presenters would be that please restrict your presentation within maximum 7 to 8 minutes, so that we can take up few questions at the end of all the presentations are made. So may I start with Mr. Deepak Krishnan to share your thoughts on linkage between clean energy interventions and CSR. Deepak, the floor is yours.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Palit, and thank you, Paresh, Anjali, and rest of the DevInsights team for inviting me. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. And good afternoon to everyone. So I don't have a sort of formal presentation to share, but maybe there will be a couple of slides that I will use to, just maybe give you a visual illustration of some of the points that I'll be covering. So as Dr. Palit mentioned, I'll be speaking about the linkages between CSR and energy, and looking at the introductions to the other panelists, the topics that they will cover, and also Dr. Palit's introduction about this year's Environment Day theme, and our what was a useful substance like plastic has turned out to be a menace. I think ultimately my sense is that we are all going to end today's conversation with a renewed focus on systems thinking, that you can't be very siloed in one's approach, and you'll need to have a cross-sectoral approach. And I hope to illustrate that, also when talking about CSR and energy. So as we all know that the CSR Act Section 7 doesn't have a direct mention of energy. For example, there are multiple categories under which CSR contributions are listed, but a direct mention of financing RE projects here so in different locations, that is not listed. But there is a reference to other SDG goals where energy has a direct linkage to play. For example, be it education, health, or environmental impacts. We all know from our daily lives as well as through our professional engagements that energy plays a vital role, and the lack of it can impair some of the functions that happen. So therefore, the fundamental point that I'll start off my intervention with is saying that energy is a necessary, though not a sufficient condition to achieve all the other SDG goals. We all know that the key challenge that we are finding as far as energy interventions in other SDG related goals is that how do you draw the linkage between supply of energy to other developmental linkages. So what we have seen through our work on ground, where we are looking at developing theories of change and the corresponding MEL frameworks through some of our work in Jharkhand, Assam, and other states, is that this linkage is it's a little more time intensive and needs that extra step. We cannot have a direct immediate linkage. I'll explain that over in due course. So, for instance, when let's say you construct a hospital in one particular location, and once you commission it, you're able to say that XYZ number of beds are there, so many equipment is there, and directly if you're then able to link it or correlate it to saying that so many patients were served as a result of this particular intervention, I think that is a direct linkage which we're able to observe. But in terms of energy, what we have found is that, and this also, a lot of other organizations have also been working in this space. For example, Surabhi from SELCO, they are the pioneers in healthcare electrification in remote areas. So I think she'll also agree with me that when you go to health departments, their primary perspective is fine, as long as I get the energy supply to my facility. That's all that counts. But getting them to change their perspective to think beyond just having energy supply, and getting that ticked as a sort of electrification initiative. How do you get policymakers to start thinking about because of the provision of energy? I was able to refrigerate so many vaccines, and because then those refrigerated vaccines were used to administer in a particular set of population, the disease burden reduced. So I think establishing those linkages, fitting it into the theory of change, developing the metrics over time to monitor that, I think that has been the reason why energy-related interventions have been a little less popular. I mean, if that is the right term to use among the CSR interventions. And also, and maybe this is where I will share my slide, and I think some of the other speakers may be also talking about it. So if you see the kind of state-wise CSR expenditure, we can see that, runaway leadership as far as Maharashtra is concerned, and with, closely following second tier of investments in, say, Delhi, Gujarat, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and other states. And of course, there is also a pan-India where, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs has, mentioned in this Rajya Sabha question that they weren't able to trace the state to which this particular CSR commitment was made. But the point I'm trying to make here is that states where these interventions through energy supply to, say, primary healthcare centers or a disaster relief centers like a Jharkhand or Assam, you can clearly see that those investments are much lower than what some of the more economically prosperous states are getting from corporate sources. So I think rejigging some of the geographies, trying to understand a little more on ground in terms of what is happening, and this might need a little investment in terms of developing one's own capacity to look beyond direct interventions and the adjacent results to that one level removed, looking at those one level removed results, understanding those linkages through the theory of change, and also then developing the metrics to monitor and evaluate and learn from them. I think building those systems is what will be crucial in taking these forward. Also, one other a point that I thought I could cover in the intervention is, what are some of the digital tools, for instance, corporates could look at to provide in terms of CSR funding to help in say energy access or energy as a development enabler. So, for instance, if one were to take this tool that we have developed called Energy Access Explorer, its basic purpose is to provide data and tools that are necessary to create a future where there is access to affordable, reliable, and modern energy. So this is a tool that we have developed. It is a digital public good as classified by the UN, and they have also we have seen it being rolled out in 3 northeastern states of Assam, Nagaland, and Mizoram, and also in Jharkhand. So basically, what it does is it overlays multiple areas of, let's say, energy access information, looking at road networks, existing grid networks, so that it becomes a sort of information base for policymakers, entrepreneurs who might want to go and set up these energy systems. So this information also becomes a kind of intervention that corporates could fund, and it might also some of the companies in spaces like IT and all may also have direct technical capability to also contribute to tools like this to help make information access more prevalent and reachable. So, for instance, you could map where there is no regular power supply, where things are actually non-electrified, where it is partially electrified. So depending on what the state or the community in that particular region may desire, I think things could be designed based on what they need. So I think I'll stop here. I'll stop here. I think this was the last point that I wanted to make, to just give an example of the kind of interventions that corporates could fund in this space. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. So may I now invite Dr. Yogesh Dubey, Professor IIFM, to share his thoughts about Mission Life. Sir, we have 7 minutes time.
Okay, you already cut my 1 minute. It's fine.
No, I have not cut.
Okay, so I'm just trying to move this. Is my presentation
yes
visible in the okay.
Yeah, it is visible.
All right, so what I'm going to talk in next 6-7 minutes is mostly an environmental discourse and something that we need to start practicing, and continue to preach also, but also to practice. And mission life turns out to be one such area where individuals can bring in some changes in their individual lifestyle, and that is why this is called as lifestyle for environment. And it was being pronounced by our honorable Prime Minister in one of the COP meetings in Glasgow, in wherein he said that there's need that the global community comes together, and he looked at mission life as a global movement to safeguard the environment from the impacts of the climate change. And the primary focus basically is on the mindful and deliberate utilization and not mindless and destructive consumption. That is what is needed today. So we need to see, and break the nexus of, unsustainable production and unsustainable consumption. This is where we are all being trapped, basically, whatever society that we belong to, we are trapped into this nexus of unsustainable production and consumption that needs to be broken down. And for that, it is very important that some level of awareness is being raised. And the whole idea is that between 22 to 27, we need to mobilize at least 1 billion, people and other global citizens. And the target for 2028 is that at least 80% of all the villages and the urban local bodies should aim to become environment friendly by bringing in some practical change in their lifestyle on daily basis that contributes to the environmental conservation. So the focus is on bringing circularity in our lifestyles instead of make and dispose of kind of a practice. Our lifestyles must become circular in nature, where we are making a conscious effort to eliminate waste and pollution from our daily life, circulate products and materials as much as possible, whether it's a higher order loop circulation or it is a lower order loop circulation in terms of reuse, recycle, and the last is the how best do we regenerate nature. So these are three broad areas that are being addressed by the circular economy, and this is what is being imbibed by the mission life as well. And all these three things, if we bring some change in our lifestyle, all these things will contribute to helping us to combat the problem of the climate change. These are just some figures that I want all of you to just read. And the first one is all about the CO2 concentration, which has never been more than 300 parts per million in last 800,000 years. Today, if we check, today's figure might have been 424 or 425. So that has been the level of increase. And suddenly a gas that is has been converted into a villain gas. Today, when we talk about climate change, we only talk about carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is the building block of all the vegetation. If there was no CO2 on the earth, we wouldn't have had enough vegetation. It's the food, it's a source of energy for the plant. But the only thing is when this gas, is being released into excess into the atmosphere, it starts creating problem. Global sea levels are going to rise, as predicted, between 2 to 6 feet by 2100, 75 more years to go. According to Swiss Re, the global economy could lose up to 18% of the GDP by 2050 if no climate action is being taken. So that is the reason where this climate crisis and individual behavior comes into the picture. And it is being said that if only 13% of the global population can adopt the sustainable lifestyle, it can result into at least 20% of the global emissions. So whether it is fuel wastage in a 30-minute red idling on a traffic road, can if you're able to save that, you can produce save enough energy that can provide 6 hours of electricity to the school student. A 3-degree Celsius rise in the temperature will result into 15 to 20% annual loss in the wheat yields. And we know that where we are heading for, what kind of food insecurity and food security problems we are heading for. So keeping that in mind, Mission Life basically focuses on around 7 broad themes. And starting from save water, save energy, reduce waste, adopt sustainable food systems, reduce electronic waste, healthy life, and say no to single-use plastic. These are all very, very simple themes. But the only thing is, when it comes to practice in our daily life, we just tend to forget. And this is what is the purpose of the Mission Life. And that is why I said that my session is all about an environmental discourse. For all of us to remember, we will go, with session by session. So the theme by theme, the first one is the save energy. So we need to look at what kind of electrical equipment we are investing in. I mean, if we can afford, we should buy 5-star rated energy equipment. Winters is the time when geysers are used the most. Set time in the family that this is the bathing time. The geyser would be switched on only for 1 hour. It will not remain switched on, 8 hours or 7 hours a day. And this is the bathing time when geysers can be used. Everybody need to, finish their bathing, and you optimize on energy consumption. Look at the air conditioners, buy 5-star rated ACs or set the right temperatures. Which is 24 to 25 in the tropical countries. Anyway, subjecting your body to the temperatures lower than 24, 25 is not good for health also. So you need to ensure that our air conditions are set at 24, 25, thereby, optimizing the running time of the compressors, which in turn will help save the energy. Similarly, for the washing machines, set your washing frequency. Tell everybody in family that Monday, Thursday, Saturday is the wash day. And if you bought a 6.5 kg wash load of your washing machine or 8 kg load of your washing machine, make sure that 8 kg load goes into the washing machine. Don't misuse your washing machine by putting in, 3 kgs of load or 2 kgs of load. Trust me, the amount of water that gets wasted is almost the same. So set these cycles. It will not just help in energy conservation, it will also help in the water conservation. Every drop of water being saved is the water saved for, the times to come. Similarly, during the night time, we are born diurnal creatures by the design of nature, but we have all, reversed that pattern. We've all become nocturnal by nature. We want, the daytime to be recreated as nighttime in our surroundings, and during nighttime, we want to recreate daytime. So make sure that whatever is the essential lighting in the night, prioritize in offices and homes. There is a lot of urban wildlife that gets negatively impacted by huge amount of urban lighting, especially in the night time. Their biological cycles, their biological rhythms, their circadian rhythms all get disturbed by this. Similarly, during the daytime, make use of the natural sunlight. Sun, as in, God is also being worshipped in the Hindu mythology and society. It gives you enough lumens free of charge. You don't have to spend a single money on getting all the lumens from the sun. So make sure that we are able to utilize all the solar luminance during the daytime, and during the nighttime, we try to optimize the use of the energy. Watch TV together. Don't have multiple TVs in your house. This is a general trend that everybody has an individual TV. Minimize the use of mobiles. Start monitoring how many times do you charge your mobile battery. Twice a day, thrice a day. Everybody wants 100% battery charged. So minimize the use of mobile. Every time you charge your battery, you are consuming power. This is an unconscious decision that, we will have to take and bring in some change in our lifestyle. Coming to the water, the image for a country like India is not very welcoming. Almost half of the country is facing high to extreme high water stress. If you look at the amount of urban wastewater generated, India is generating almost 72,368 million liters of water per day, and the installed treatment capacity is just around 31,841 MLD. That is just 44%. And what is actually getting treated is just 20,236 million liters per day. That's 1/3 of the generation. So much of water is getting wasted.
Your time is getting over. Yeah.
Okay. I'll just rush through. I'll just rush through. So there are multiple ways by which you can bring in these changes into. I'll not speak much. Multiple ways by which you can bring in these changes in your daily lifestyle. Collect your waste, send it to the recycler. Don't let it go to a municipal solid waste dump where it poses a problem. Single-use plastic is a huge challenge. This is something that can be done only when you decide that you say no to single-use plastic. Nobody can force you to do that. It's an individual change in the behavior of the individuals. Reduction of electronic waste. You can see what kind of impact electronic waste is creating on the human health in terms of lead, cadmium, mercury, BFR, and all kinds of chemicals that are being used. Restrict and yourself to the local diets. That is what is meant by the adaptive, sustainable food system. So look for whatever is local in your area. Make that as part of your local diet. Healthy lifestyles. Join a biodiversity conservation club. Start exercising. Use Ayurveda as a part of your daily lifestyle. Adopt natural food style. That is all. And in the end, there is a pledge that everybody needs to take if Mission Life has to be adopted. This is a pledge that is being, written by the Niti Aayog. People can just read for themselves. This is my last slide. I'll just display it for around 15 seconds. People can just read it out in their hearts. But Mission Life is something that is talking about serious change in the human behaviors to combat the problem of the climate change. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Dubey. So it's extremely important. Let me just add a point. Take the discretion of the moderator and add a point. Actually, this entire concept of mission lives basically flows in from a concept called Arthayam, which was propounded by Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay ji. Similar to pranayam, where you basically regulates the breathing for a healthy body. So if you can regulate the wealth, the production, consumption, and use of wealth, then you would find a healthy earth system. That's what is thing. So of course, the Honorable Prime Minister made it a global program now. And India is taking the lead. So our third panelist is Ms. Swarna Behera, and she will be speaking on measurement of environmental indicators, the gaps and opportunities for CSR. Swarna ji, 7 minutes. You are mute. If you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And audience can put in chat questions in your chat, then so that we can take a few questions up to the end of the presentations.
Shall I start, Dubey?
Please.
Yeah, I hope I am clearly audible.
Yes,
and thank you so much for a, very, very nice introduction actually. And today is the Environment Day. Would like to congratulate everybody. So the congratulation basically to take a, proceed further to have a good environment basically. What is behind, that is behind. We should aim for a good thing. So let's do that. Let's take a oath to make it better, to have a better environment specifically. So today my topic is based on that. When we have done so many things. So we have different, so many activities we have done. We try to conserve our environment, reserve. So many things we have done, but how we are doing our measurement, which is very much.
The central this one, it is.
Yeah. I hope this is clear now.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So let's move on. Since measurement of environment indicators are very important when we have done so many activities and so many results we are expecting, I think, having a proper measurement is very much important. Definitely to know where we are basically, what we have done, where we have progressed, and what are the more additional things that basically, what are the further improvements we can do. For those reasons, measurement is very much required. So I think the first is, when I'm asking why this matters, there are two different things basically. One, of course, the climate change. And we have many already two panelists, they have discussed about the climate. I think in the first slide, he has taken us through the, how the climatic changes are happening and all those things. I'll just take you through a few highlights when, the global temperature is rising. And second one is like, many scientists, they are into common statement that the environmental degradation is because of the human beings, basically our lifestyle, the way we are, doing everything. We are mechanized basically, so it's based on that. And also ultimately how it is impacting the climate. So we have extreme weather, sea level is rising, and we have a biodiversity loss. So likewise, so many other things. Second part of this presentation would be what is the role of CSR in this? So definitely here, CSR, corporate social responsibility, can act as a game changer when we want to create some environmental impact basically, and also on measurement side. This is a snapshot basically. This is an overview about the expenditure. Although we have, I mean, this slide is specifically focused on the cost incurred for environmental expenditure. We can see there is a increasing trend, but I think in 2022, little bit lower is there, but gradually it is increasing. Overall, if you could see, there is a good amount of, value is invested for environmental improvement. So I think these are the states. These are the states where which are ranked top 5 with highest CSR spend: Maharashtra, Karnataka, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, and UP. Coming to the CSR, basically who are investing. So there are again top 5 CS spenders: HDFC Bank, TCS, Reliance Industries, ICICI Bank, Tata Steel. Yeah. So coming to the companies with major focus on environmental conservation, these are few organization basically. So I have taken top 10 organization who are most predominantly utilizing the funds at grassroots level on environmental conservation. So these are the major projects on environmental conservation. So this is giving a snapshot. What are the main activities where we are solely focused on? I mean, like water conservation, renewable energy, climate action, clean energy, clean technology, soil conservation, agriculture, waste management, recycling of things, plastic waste management definitely, and biodiversity and e-waste management. Now coming to the indicators. So what are the commonly used environmental indicators in CSR? So these are few themes, and there are some indicators for those themes, basically say afforestation or the biodiversity. So we have number of trees planted, survival rate of saplings, area of reforested, and all those things. So likewise, we have few indicators for each of the thematic areas. Now coming to the gaps. So what are the measurement gaps in environmental indicators in CSR platform? So I think the first and the major gap is measurement gap. So where we are just focusing on outputs, like the way we are measuring, it is very much varied from organization to organization, from department to department, and the kind of measurement we are doing that is not actually showing the impact per se. Say example, trees are planted and we are tracking, but in some cases we don't see the survival rate. So there are different methods of survival rate, how to see, and really we can see the canopy coverage in certain period of time, and also we can measure the growth of the trees. Really that is happening, or just we are planting the trees? I think that is a major gap across all. So the overall thing is based on research, also navigating through different CSR reports, the kind of measurement tools they use, where they're tracking, and all those things basically. So second one is coming lack of standardization. So there are different organizations, they use different methods for tracking. So I think that is a major thing. So we should have a standardized framework for environmental indicators. Then focus on outputs over outcomes. So this is very important when we are just focusing on outputs. Outcome is very important to see our impacts basically. I think this is another major thing where we need to, this is a major gap. Then missing balance baseline data. So in most of the cases, what we found, although we are doing some kind of tracking or say monitoring, we are following some monitoring process or tracking the progress for reporting purpose and all, but to have a good comparison basically, so we don't have baselines. Yeah, there are cases where in few cases they do the baselines, but in majority of the cases the baseline is absent. So to draw the change from inception to the end, it is very difficult, and it's really difficult to draw the impact of that project. Then lack in post-project monitoring. So we observe when we do the monitoring, or once the project is completed, we don't do post-monitoring. So say tree is planted. So what happened after that? After say the project is 3 years or 4 years or something like that. So after 4 years, really the trees are sustained. what is happening at those places. I think that monitoring mechanism is also not there. But this is very much important for a sustainability purpose. Then weak integration with national and global frameworks. Insufficient use of technology and tools. I think this is another gap where we can use GIS, remote sensing, and all those tools to have a very accurate, timely tracking of environmental indicators. In addition to these things, ESG alignment and transparency issues are also highlighted. So these are altogether major gaps. There are other gaps, but these are the key gaps which we found. When we talk about what are the environmental
Can you quickly
gaps,
summarize? Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, yeah, definitely. So these are few examples. Basically, you can just I can take you through one or two cases. There are few cases where we found there are gaps in some CSR projects. Basically, say example, number of trees are planted without tracking survival. Already spoke about it. And also say we talk about conservation of water, but how to measure those things, to what extent we are able to make a change or create impact, that is not there. So this is very important because these are some strategic CSR actions for better impact. So so having standardized framework is very much important, like adoption of GRI methods or carbon CDP and SDG mapping for consistency, which we found already a big gap. Then tech-enabled monitoring system, like use of GIS, satellite imaging, and all those things, aligned with national and global goals, which already spoke that this is a gap and we can incorporate while improving the system. And likewise, the baseline, ESG convergency, impact-based monitoring, post-project sustainability, and also having a synergy with the stakeholder is very much important. When I'm saying synergy with the stakeholder, like involvement of local government or the community or beneficiaries in planning or implementation, or maybe taking the whole process further, basically. So it is like ownership, creating a ownership at every level and building the tracking system at every level. Then co-create with stakeholders, already spoke, establish monitoring system and create community dashboard and scorecard. So this is very important when the people could see the dashboards basically, and they could monitor regularly. When they see the dashboard, they can see what is the status, what we should do, how we can do. I mean, it's not a timely, rather a regular basis of creating alarming situation for them, or maybe generating some sense of responsibility, like we have to have a good environment. So it may work very fantastically. Yeah, so at the end, although we have, I mean, we are doing very good in CSR, but I think there are few things where we need improvements. And if we create those things or measure very with a proper method, we can have a very powerful or say force for environmental sustainability and climate resiliency. Thank you.
Thank you, Swarna ji. So now, last but not the least, we have the last presentation of the day, Surabhi Rajagopal, and she will talk about lessons from climate resilient solar powered health facilities. I understand which were implemented by SELCO Foundation. Surabhi, you have 7 minutes. Please try to be within time.
Thank you so much.
I know it's a very important subject, but still.
No, I think, yeah, whatever extra we can cover it during the questions if we have enough time for that. Thank you so much again to the DevInsights team and the previous presenters. So I'll jump straight into it. I think something that Deepak ji spoke about around looking at linkages. So the initiative that we were looking at was really how are we improving decentralized healthcare, and a lot of this need really came up during COVID, while some of the work around what are the gaps around primary health and where are the energy challenges had been discussed and had been worked on with some of the NGO partners. I think during COVID, the gaps and issues in providing decentralized healthcare really became apparent to the health sector itself. So health departments found that their higher tier hospitals were overloaded, and very basic care that was required in terms of maternal and child care, immunization could not be provided at the lower, at the primary health care level. And one of the reasons for this was really the lack of energy and the lack of equipment availability as a consequence at these facilities. And I think in the larger effort of decentralizing healthcare and making it more accessible to last mile, what are the ways in which we strengthen primary healthcare? The linkages to energy and climate come in because healthcare is only as good, or rather, the energy solutions and the climate solutions that you provide are only as good as the health outcomes and implications that it can have, right? So when we started looking at the needs of primary healthcare, while the challenges were there in terms of
अंजलि क्वेश्चन
staff,
यहाँ पे ग्रुप में जो पोस्ट कर दे
maybe I'll just take a
I
pause
request
while.
everybody to mute their mic except the speaker.
Yeah, thank you. So looking at end user needs in terms of the availability of services such as pre-delivery checks, actually being able to deliver in these last mile communities, looking at vaccination availability, and the issue of individuals going to the health facility and finding that because there was no electricity access, and in some cases there was no equipment access, that they had to travel to higher tier facilities for this. And it may not have been a high risk pregnancy that required that, right? You also found that a lot of facility staff are dealing with difficult working conditions because they're not able to provide that care. And in many cases, the nurse or midwife is staying at the facility itself, which means that if there is no electricity or no reliability of energy and equipment in that facility, it means that their living condition is also lacking that safety and convenience. And of course, from a facility and government perspective, there's the very real challenge of having to deal with diesel as a backup energy source and trying to put in options for energy provision itself. Why does this all link to environment and climate? Because the health sector is one of the largest contributors to climate change. Think a Healthcare Without Harm report in 2020-21 identified healthcare as, if it were a country, it would be the 5th largest emitter in the world. And when you look at it from the perspective of primary healthcare, of last mile healthcare, it's not just the fact that there are emissions because of using diesel fuel. It is also their inability to access diesel fuel when there is a climate risk or a climate disaster. When we're looking at conditions like heat stress, cyclones, flood prone areas, and if that is the biggest, when that disaster strikes, emergency care becomes particularly important. And if a healthcare facility is not functioning, that really puts the local population at risk. So the program was designed in partnership with a lot of local NGOs that were running primary health facilities through a public-private partnership like Karuna Trust, Wish Foundation, and others, and started looking at solar energy solutions to strengthen and create resilient primary healthcare facilities. And I think during COVID, the interest from the health departments in different states also became very clear and apparent. So the broader effort is really to look at sustainable energy as a way to address health issues and make sure climate action is also happening in the process, both in terms of mitigating against carbon emissions, but also in terms of building resilience against heat stress around and against natural disasters and climate risks. Broadly, when we look at healthcare, we're trying to, I'm keeping track of time as well, but broadly, while looking at healthcare, we're trying to say that there are certain key value chains in primary health. What are the energy needs for maternal care, for immunization, for screening, diagnostics, and administration that happens at a primary health facility level? And how do we address this through a combination of energy efficient appliances, green built environment? This is something that Yogesh ji also alluded to while talking about life, that when you, and we see it in as a combination with energy itself, or to optimize the energy system, because the more we can look at natural lighting, ventilation, thermal comfort of the built environment and building materials, the more we can ensure that the solar energy system, which is the panels required, the battery required, are all also optimized. The more efficient appliances that we can look at, the less energy we need to run those appliances as well. So, we have examples of different kinds of interventions that happen along the maternal value chain, whether we're looking at energy efficient medical equipment for labor rooms, suction apparatus, spotlights, baby warmers, or whether we're looking at needs and innovations for the ASHA workers who are going out to check young mothers, or to check, to do health checks with pregnant women to see if they need to be referred to a higher tier hospital. And all of these are technologies and solutions that can be enabled through sustainable solar powered systems at a primary or a sub-center level. These are some examples in terms of immunization and vaccines, whether you have, mobile vaccine carriers. So if a nurse is going out and they're otherwise using ice packs, they have to maintain the vaccine within that ice box, and they have about a 4 to 6 hour period within which the vaccine efficacy can be ensured. Beyond that, it does result in vaccine wastage. So some of these solutions are designed to be able to allow for that last mile delivery, while also increasing the convenience for whoever the health staff member is who's delivering it. And like with anything else, this has to be looked in terms of a systems approach. So it is a combination of technology, the linkages that the health facility itself brings, the training required for staff to maintain these systems, and for clean energy enterprises to have an obligation to ensure maintenance, and the financing required around both CapEx and OpEx. So the Energy for Health program is a collaborative effort. IKEA Foundation, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, multiple state health departments, and other partners are involved, including a lot of the NGO partners that we worked with initially. But I think there are learnings from this that we're just trying to bring together, and in some senses also rectify issues that we have faced in implementing 8,000 of these health facilities. Our goal is to look at 25,000 primary health facilities, which broadly represents about 10 to 11% of India's primary healthcare need. And an important part of this is ensuring operations and maintenance. I think Swarna ji mentioned how, it's not enough to look at tree planting unless you're able to track that long-term effect of coverage of tree coverage and greenery, and making sure that exists in the long term, and there's sustainability. And the same applies for these solutions as well. So operations and maintenance has been a key aspect where we've tried to integrate multiple mechanisms into it. And maybe I'll come back to this, but I think a quick closing.
Summarize, we have to.
Yes. Yeah. So this is my closing remarks. I think when we think about lessons and best practices, there are multiple lessons, but if we're taking away things that CSRs, companies, NGOs, and enterprises can be involved in, I think there's a big space for health tech innovations. So not just looking at CSR to fund environmental programs, but to really for companies that are in medtech to think about last mile health tech solutions, to think about efficient appliances, to bring in quality installation. And I think this was something that Deepak ji also mentioned in terms of digital infrastructure and digital technologies. When we look at things like operations and maintenance, how can we bring that in? How can we digitize incident management, customer response, while ensuring maintenance and long-term usability of these technologies on the ground? I'll stop with this.
Thank you. So thank you all the panelists. So I think we can take a few questions, but I'm very happy to see this particular project by SELCO Foundation. I remember long back, 15 years back, raising money from Power Finance Corporation. Probably it was the first time somebody raised money from a corporation to put up solar plants in a primary health center. And in my earlier avatar, we implemented almost like, I think I don't remember exactly the number, but around 30 solar power plant, 5 kilowatt solar power plant in primary health centers across Assam, J&K and UP. And there are very, at that time, nobody even started thinking of all these things. And after the Chhattisgarh government implemented from the government side, and I think they got a Ashton Award also for that. So it's good to see things are progressing. I think it's very encouraging. We can take a few questions. Where there's a question for Swarna ji from a CSR practitioner's lens. Why is measurement of environmental indicators critical for planning and evaluating sustainability initiative? If you can, Swarna ji, if you can quickly, if you can very briefly answer the question so that we can have a few more. You're mute. If you can unmute yourself.
Yeah. So thank you for this question, and this is really a very important question. I think why is the measurement of environmental indicators are critical? So say let me take one example. Say when I'm saying measuring the air quality, or say conservation of water. Let's take some corporate example nowadays, which we are following basically. Say we are trying to do the water conservation with less use of water, and see what the impact is going to create. Now coming to the indicator, how we are going to change this basically. So what are the measures we are taking? So say maybe we'll use replace the current system into using some sprinklers, or some reduce the water quality and all those things. But what is the change we are creating? So we have reduced, we have done some activities, but how we will be able to measure that change basically? Are we able to save the water? Yes, definitely we are able, but to what extent? So for those things, we are using some estimates and all those things. I think for a better planning, we should know where we are basically. Say when we know this much water is being conserved, or we are able to conserve this many quantity of water, then probably we can take a decision on that. Really, that is enough. Really, that is sufficient, or we should do some more, or we should follow some other strategy. Again, coming to the sustainability point of view, so when we are drawing some benchmark, so our planning and execution should be in a way to sustainable those things basically. So yeah, I think I'm getting some, yeah.
No,
yeah. So I think for that to create those space, we need to track, to have a measurable indicators. And also it always doesn't mean we should have, when we have drawing some benchmarking and all those things, we should have a tracking process. So when we are initiating, when we are executing, what is our sustainability approach? How we are going to sustain? If we are not sustaining, then there is no mean actually. So that is why this is very much important to have a track on it, and to have a critical indicators specifically for the environmental.
Thank you. I think there is a question for, well, somebody wants training materials for health facility from Surabhi, so I think we can connect directly. So there's a question for Professor Dubey, how can life initiative be promoted in organizations to influence environmentally proactive behavior, as companies are driven by profit and their approach has been reactive in nature? So we can respond very quickly.
See, everybody, no matter what you do, everybody is mandated under the constitutional requirement, It's the fundamental duty of every citizen, and corporates are no different. Okay, so even if you go by that, in the modern times, somewhere this balance will have to be struck. The legislations will also be becoming, more stringent and stringent. And this is the time when, corporates can actually take a turn around and, revisit their how do they, really operate. And sustainability is one thing that is going to be part of now all kinds of operations, not just in India, but across the world. So this is the most opportune and golden time. Climate change is a reality. The sooner we understand this, sooner we accept this, better it is for all of us. Mission life is less of a corporate, more of an individual responsibility. And that is why I said that, preaching becomes very easy. You can give a discourse on the environment, but to bring that little change, monitor your everyday life, and at the end of the day, just audit in terms of, how much of electricity did you save? How much of water did you save? How much of waste reduction, you were able to incorporate? How much of recycling you were able to do? Keep monitoring. How many times do you change your mobiles? Once you buy a mobile, on that particular day, make a resolve that for next 7 years, I'm not going to change my mobile.
Thank you.
Come what may. So that's an individual resolve that everybody will have to do. Organizations must promote, carpool, that they should incentivize people who come in carpools instead of coming. They should look at how the lighting is being done. Natural lighting is made available for the members, so that the dependence on the artificial lighting is being minimized. Water dispensers must be created so that the bottled mineral water, I always say, is one of the biggest crime. हिंदी में बोले तो एक बहुत बड़ा महापाप बोलता हूं मैं इसको, कि जो बॉटल मिनरल वाटर से पानी पीना जो है एक महापाप है ये. तो आप अपने इसमें वाटर प्यूरिफाइंग प्लांट्स लगाइए, सबको स्टील बॉटल्स के लिए एनकरेज करिए, अपनी अपनी बॉटल भरिए वहां से पानी की, अपनी टेबल पे लेके जाइए. सो लॉट ऑफ वेज. लीफ प्लेट्स, आपकी पार्टीज होती है तो पत्तों के प्लेट मंगाइए आप.
We can take up another question.
Yeah, sure please.
So we'll take up one question each to Surabhi and Deepak. To you, Surabhi, how do you look at the role of AI in improving the implementation efficiency of environmental sustainability programs? Very quickly.
I think one of the places we have seen AI come in is actually for a lot of diagnostic tools and med tech. So we have these AI stethoscopes that we're seeing to detect murmurs in young children. AI-enabled diagnostics for specific, parameters, where what this enables is more last mile health, where that issue of a medical staff not being there in that particular location can be overcome by having a telehealth option, but you're able to ensure that the initial diagnostics and the results are coming in, and for the telehealth, the medical professional on the other side to be able to better review and diagnose the issue. I think what we've not looked at as much is AI in the operations and maintenance systems, but I think that is something that we were kind of trying to explore, how does AI respond to a training staff's requirement on right now, this is my issue with the solar system. What is the next step that I do? A bot that can answer the most frequently occurring questions. So this is something that we are looking at through an AI system that we're piloting here.
Thank you. The last question for Deepak is on SEBI has integrated the green credit disclosure into the BRSR framework. So how easy or difficult it is to integrate the role of value chain partners to contribute to the market mechanism and tradability issues?
Right. Thank you. So I think it's a work in progress. So even if, let's say, in this particular case of CSR interventions in, say, healthcare or education, I am not very familiar with using, these market mechanisms and tradability, but it's more prevalent in, let's say, reducing emissions in, let's say, the value chain of corporate, so textile and automotive. So they impose mandates for their suppliers to meet, if they need to continue business. And even over there, it is quite challenging to start off with, because you need to build in these systems, measuring, monitoring, keep consistently tracking what are the relevant opportunities in the market, policy, ecosystem, etc. But it's definitely not impossible. And as to the question of bringing this kind of market mechanisms and tradability in a CSR context, I think it could be an additional source of financing for these projects. So through CSR, if, let's say, some solarization of one of the healthcare facilities, if we take as an example, any shortfall, we could look at the carbon market for any emissions save. That could be a potential project economics enhancing thing at the moment. But I am not aware of any intervention where CSR has been coupled with this and tried out, but I can definitely look it up.
Thank you. So I think wonderful presentation by all presenters. We could continue, but then time is also a constraint. So thank you so much to all the presenters, and also to all those who have asked excellent questions. Thank you, DevInsights, for this webinar on this important day. I think the message that I take along is that, of course, sustainable lifestyle is something that we all have to practice, and that can only take us to a point where probably we are not going to beat anything in future and going to celebrate the environment. So I hand it over to the organizer, Mr. Deepak Kumar Bhatt, Assistant Vice President, MLE DI, for the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Devajit, for inviting me. And good afternoon, everyone. As we come to close of today's enlightening webinar, it is my privilege to deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of DevInsights. And first, I would like to express gratitude and to our esteemed speakers and moderator, Mr. Deepak Krishnan, Ms. Surabhi, Dr. Yogesh, Ms. Swarna, and Dr. Devajit, for sharing their valuable insights, experiences, and expertise with us. I extend our sincere thanks to all the participants who joined us from different parts of the country and beyond. Lastly, sincere appreciation to the entire DevInsight teams for their dedicated efforts in planning and executing this webinar. And let us carry forward the knowledge and motivation gained today, and take small yet significant steps in our personal and professional life to combat climate change. Thank you once again for being with us, and stay safe, stay inspired, and have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.